Good evening, everybody, and welcome. We're going to get started with our event tonight. So please settle in and make yourselves comfortable. My name is Robin Treen, and I work for the San Jose Museum of Art. And this is going to be another edition in our long ongoing series of Third Thursday programs tonight. Tonight, we are very pleased to be partnering once again with the City of San Jose's Office of Racial Equity. And we are presenting tonight a program called The Heartbeat of San Jose, Immigrants During the COVID Pandemic. And we have lots of doorbells. And we're presenting this program tonight in celebration of Welcoming Week, which is a national event that's held every year, the second full week in September. So before we get started, I have a few housekeeping things for everybody and some commercial announcements. So I know you're looking forward to those. First of all, I just want to let everybody know this program is being recorded. It is also being live streamed to the YouTube channels of both the City of San Jose and the San Jose Museum of Art. It's also being broadcast by our partners at Create TV. So please be aware that we are recording this. And also, if everybody could please mute themselves, that would be great. For those of you familiar with Zoom, this is a Zoom meeting and not a webinar. So if your mic is open, we can hear background noises in your home or wherever you are, which can be really distracting for speakers. So if you would mute yourself, that would be great. And if you don't know how to do that, if you look at the bottom left corner of your Zoom screen, whether you're on a computer or whether you're on your phone, you'll see a little icon that looks like an old-fashioned stand microphone. If you click on that, you'll see a red slash appear and then you have been muted. I also want to let everybody know that if you're familiar again with Zoom, you know there's a chat function. The chat function tonight is not public. It is working, so you can send a chat to either the host or the co-host, but it won't appear publicly. So if you have technical difficulties, please feel free to chat them. Or if you have a question, also please put it in the chat and please include your email. If we don't have time to get to your question or we can't answer it tonight, we will get back to you after the program if you include your email. And finally, I just want to let everybody know too that after the conclusion of the Story Circle part of the program tonight, there will be an interactive activity. It's a wonderful sharing exercise. So I really highly recommend that everybody stick around for that. Please stay with us. So as I said, I'm from the San Jose Museum of Art. This is part of an ongoing Third Thursday programming that we've had forever. And I just have a few announcements for the museum as well. First of all, I am very pleased to let anybody know who doesn't know that the museum has actually reopened. We are open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11 in the morning till 6 in the evening. And then we're open till 9 o'clock on the first Friday of the month. So we do have some late hours again as well in this post-pandemic era. And our galleries are full right now, so it's a great time to come. We have two wonderful exhibitions drawn from our permanent collection. One's called Break and Bleed that will be up until next year. And the other one is called Southeast Northwest, which will be closing in 2 weeks. So you have 2 weeks to get there to see this. It's closing on the 3rd. I'm sure all of you have also seen as you've driven around downtown San Jose, because I know everybody's out and about, the big hot pink banners that are hanging from the light poles now. That is an Art in Public Places project by Claire Rojas that's brought to you by the San Jose Museum of Art. And we also have a wonderful premiering exhibition of a wonderful contemporary video immersive installation experience called Factory of the Sun. It's by a German artist named Hito Styrol. And I totally recommend that you come in and see this. It's kind of life-changing experience. And then finally, I just want to put in a little plug for our very first sound installation project that will be opening in November. It's going to emanate from our clock tower. We've never done this before. And it's an art installation by an artist named Trevor Paglin, who we've worked with before. So be on the lookout for announcements about that as well. I'd also like to invite everybody to our annual gala, which is going to be on Saturday night at 6 o'clock. It is completely virtual this year, so it's totally safe. And we have a wonderful array of all sorts of things, including an art auction and a world premiere of an artwork by Rashid Newsom. So please feel free to tune in. Like I said, it's free and open to the public. You can sign up on our website to get the link to participate in that. The San Jose Museum of Art will also be at the Mosaic Festival, which is going to be at the School of Arts and Culture on Saturday, October 2nd. And we're also very pleased to be partnering with our friends at City Lights Theater again this year. They are offering a play to reopen, which actually they're doing tonight. Tonight is their preview of their opening night, which will also be on Saturday, with a play called Coded, which is about girls in the gaming world. And it was written by a local playwright named Kristen Brandt, who also works at San Jose State. And this is the play that they had to close on opening night in March of 2020. So fortunately for the theater company and for the community, you get another bite at the apple because they're reopening the play again. So please look for announcements about our special partner program with them coming up in October in support of our scholarship program for our kids' art camp. And finally, this is not our only collaboration with the City of San Jose. We are also working with City Dance for First Friday, which is coming up in 2 weeks on October 1st. So from 5 to 9, the museum will be open and free. You can come in and see all the exhibits, and you can dance the night away afterwards with City Dance as open air dancing out on the Circle of Palms. And if your moves are a little pandemic rusty, they will have instructors out there to help you get going and get your dancing shoes on. So please join us for that as well. For tonight's program, again, we're presenting a program called The Heartbeat of San Jose, Immigrants During the COVID Pandemic. And we're partnering with the City of San Jose's Office of Racial Equity for Welcoming Week. And for those of you who don't know, Welcoming Week is a national initiative that draws together nonprofit community organizations, cities, municipalities, towns, counties, who all want to come together to have neighbors meet neighbors, to welcome new people in their community, and to build stronger communities, which seems particularly appropriate right now as the City of San Jose and the South Bay in broader terms gets ready to open its arms and welcome a whole new influx of immigrants from Afghanistan, the people we have all seen on the news lately. So we're brushing up our welcoming skills for them as well. This is the second edition of our collaboration with the City of San Jose, and with a focus on Welcome Week and immigrants in our community. The first one we did, I can't remember what year it was, but it was before the pandemic, so it was in person. And so this is our first virtual attempt at doing this. So please be patient with us. We've had to tinker with the format a little bit to make it work like everything else these days. But we're very pleased to be here to present this program with the city tonight. So tonight we're doing something really special. We're going to be focusing on and hearing from 4 Filipino women who all work as caregivers, and they have done so throughout the pandemic, if you can imagine that. So we are so pleased to have them with us here tonight. So we're welcoming tonight Maria Santa Ana, Isa Mnasi, Abby Cruz, and Anne oh gosh, sorry. Mamaro, is that it? Anyway. Mamariel. Okay, great. Thank you so much. I'm particularly pleased to be a part of this program tonight as somebody who's been a family caregiver for many, many years. I can tell you that it is a unique experience in life. It's very hard work, but it's also very complicated work. And it is beyond essential. The greatest gift we can all give to each other is to care for each other. And that is what caregivers do. We do it for each other, and it is what makes communities strong. The relationships that develop out of it are complicated. They're entangled with dependency and need, but they are also entangled with an unbelievable unique willingness to give on the part of the caregiver. So we are so pleased to highlight their stories with us tonight. I also want to give a huge shout out to the Filipino Association for Workers and Immigrants for helping us connect with the city's network of caregivers. And a very big thank you goes to Elliot Margolis for coaching our speakers tonight. He helped them find the best way to tell these very personal stories. So we're very grateful to him. And last but not least, I personally owe a huge debt of gratitude to Sabrina Parra Garcia she was with the city's manager's office. She has been my partner in crime in organizing both this event and the previous one. And I couldn't have asked for a better partner. And I hope it is, as some very famous movie person said, the beginning of a long relationship, a long, happy relationship. So I hope there will be further collaborations in the future as well. Anyway, that's the end of my commercial announcements. So now it is my great pleasure to introduce Christopher Cambisis, who is the manager of the Immigrant Affairs team in the city's Office of Racial Equity. Take it away, Chris.
Thank you very much, Robin. Good evening, everybody. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here. We're tremendously grateful to the Museum of Art for their now long-running partnership with the Office of Racial Equity. And we too look forward to our future partnership. So we'd like to start this evening of Immigrant Stories with a reminder that most of us here, no matter how long our family can trace back our lineage in the United States, are not the true natives of this land. There were people here when the settlers arrived, the Ohlone people. In countries such as New Zealand, Australia, Canada, and among tribal nations in the United States, it is commonplace, even policy, to open events and gatherings by acknowledging traditional indigenous inhabitants of that land. While some individuals and cultural and educational institutions in the United States have adopted this custom, the vast majority have not. Given the topic of tonight's stories, we have chosen to acknowledge the Ohlone people and the land that most of us sit on. Acknowledgement is a simple and powerful way of showing respect and a step toward correcting the stories and practices that erase Indigenous people's history and culture, and toward inviting and honoring the truth. The Bay Area has always been a home to a group of local California Indians called Ohlone today. The word Ohlone comes from the name of a single Ohlone tribe, the Ohone. There are actually about 58 different Ohlone tribes. The group is also sometimes called the Costanoan. The name comes from the Spanish term costaño, meaning native people of the coast. So as we open this event, every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant lands in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. We are standing on the ancestral lands of the Ohlone people. We pay respects to their elders, past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us here today. So to provide context, the City of San Jose's Office of Immigrant Affairs was established in 2015 for the purpose of creating a more informed, engaged, and welcoming experience for immigrants, to increase opportunities for shared prosperity, and to aim at becoming the most successful multicultural city in the world. 40% of San Jose's population are immigrants. Immigrants in Silicon Valley have high rates of workforce participation and large tax contributions, including an estimated $77 billion that immigrants contribute to the economy. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed many things for all of us, like how we work and what we worry about. For this second Immigrant Storyteller event, we wanted to allow immigrants to share how their time living and working during the pandemic impacted their experience as immigrants. We asked our partners to share the opportunity for immigrants to work with the coach so they could share their stories, and the Filipino Association for Workers and Immigrants jumped at the chance. Filipinos are overrepresented among healthcare workers and healthcare occupations in the United States relative to the population. and the pandemic has exacted a significant disproportionate toll on this community. In California, Filipino caregivers are at the front lines of assisted living facilities, residential care facilities, and as personal attendants to chronically ill people. When Santa Clara County disaggregated its Asian coronavirus cases into subgroups, we found that Filipinos and Vietnamese people were disproportionately impacted by the virus. Though Filipino Americans make up 13% of the Asian American population in Santa Clara County, they accounted for 21% of coronavirus cases between June the 1st and December the 3rd of last year. Nationally, over 30% of nurses who have died from COVID-19 are Filipino, though the group makes up just 4% of the nursing workforce. In California, where about 20% of nurses identify as Filipino, they account for nearly 70% of deaths, according to the California Nurses Association. Among healthcare workers as a whole, the impact of the virus on Filipinos is likely much greater. In California, where more than 40,000 healthcare workers have contracted COVID-19 and hundreds have died, Filipino Americans comprise about 12% of all healthcare workers and 11% of all healthcare support jobs, like assistants in nursing homes, putting them in vulnerable essential positions where coronavirus has run rampant and personal protective equipment has been chronically scarce. So as Robin mentioned, all 4 storytellers this evening are Filipino and work as home caregivers. We will get a chance to hear the real-world experiences of these wonderful immigrant neighbors in their own words about how their work during the pandemic has impacted them personally, their jobs, and their vision of their place in San Jose. So with that context, we can now move on to the main part of our program, the storytellers you've all been waiting for. To get us started, I'm going to introduce someone who's had the great privilege of getting to know our storytellers well, since he was working with them to help them prepare for tonight's event. Elliot Margolis is a community media facilitator and producer. He was the founding executive director of Mid-Penn Media Center and has become an independent producer of storytelling events and a developer of an online archive of immigrant stories called madenintoamerica.org. Since the pandemic, he has produced numerous story exchanges via Zoom with a variety of different groups in different countries. He's also done a weekly story and dance club over Zoom for his 6 grandchildren. Elliot spent time over the last month supporting the work of each of our storytellers tonight, and he will now introduce them. Elliot, take it away.
Hi, I'm Elliot, and I will facilitate these marvelous 4 caretakers who were good enough to meet with me for a couple of hours and give me a sense of their experiences. And it deeply, deeply impacted me. So I'm sure the same will be true tonight for the rest of us here who are going to get a chance to walk in their shoes a little bit. As Robin said earlier, many of us have had the need for a caregiver in our families when there's a loved one who's in their waning years. And those of us who've watched them know what intimate and difficult work this is, whether they're bringing them over to the shower and showering them, clipping their nails, taking them to the bathroom, even diapering them. These are very difficult tasks. And when you add to that the compassion that they bring and the engagement that they share with our loved ones, I feel that they are heroic and essential every day that they work. So thank you to the 4 of you. And I am just mentioning that a couple of you have your masks on, and we've used different names to preserve confidentiality where we're asked to. These are very personal stories. Maria has been in the United States since 2007. Isa came to the United States in 2010. And Abby, who we're hoping will join us, but she's actually working right now, so we expect her any minute. She came in 2014, and Anne came in 2017. And I am going to ask the first question, which is, what informed your decision? Why did you decide to leave the Philippines? I'm going to start with Maria, but I want to give you a little bit of backstory. Maria, her grandparents emigrated to the United States in the mid-90s, and they were able to sponsor Maria's parents, but they had to wait 21 years before they could get the authorization to move to the United States in 2011. But meanwhile, Maria was a school teacher in the Philippines and was raising 3 kids with her husband. And so I am going to turn it over to you, Maria, to tell us, well, what was going on that convinced you to do such a huge departure and starting your life over in the United States away from the family. Oh, yes. We can hear you.
Hi, yeah. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm Maria Santa Ana, a Filipina caregiver. It's always been a struggle to make ends meet in the Philippines because of its erratic economy. Corruption in government offices is rampant. I feel that the rich accumulate more wealth while the poor continues to be poor. Jobs can become so scarce and prices basic commodities fluctuate then and often, and even if you have a job, and I'm a teacher there in the Philippines, pay is not enough to cover our household expenses. I have 3 children and my husband have no work. And there's a times that I'm from work, then I came from the house that I remember clearly that time when I came home to find out that our power service was cut off because I failed to pay on time. I need to borrow money to pay for our electric bill. And it breaks my heart that if my kids is asking me something and I cannot give it. As a mother, I want my best, or I want to give the best for them. And I'm thinking if I still staying in the Philippines and the amount that I'm getting for my job is not good enough, I cannot give to the best thing to my kids. And it also breaks my heart if they ask me something and I cannot give to them.
Thank you, Maria. I know it was a hugely hard decision. We'll ask you more about that later. Abby, I'm so glad you made it. And as I said, you are actually working right now. So if your client comes into the picture, we'll introduce her and make her part of this conversation. But if you would also, I'm just going to say, Abby told me she grew up in a poor family with 7 children. And her mom got very sick when she was only 6. And that seemed to have informed the decision that you made later in life to leave. And I wanted you to talk about that. Why is it that you decided to leave the Philippines with your 3 kids there?
Hi, good evening. My name is Abby Cruz, and I was a caregiver since 2000, start 2016. I decided to leave the country when I was young because we have a problem on our health since my mom got sick when I was a child. And after my mom died, my my second to the my third of my sister got also sick after my mom passed away. So I decided myself to do something, to make my life change and to help my family. So after I graduate my high school, I decided to work. And after after a few years that I graduated high school, I decided to work abroad. So since then, it's hard for me to leave my family in the Philippines. But it's really hard for me to see them suffering. We cannot, it's hard to survive, especially finances and support to my family. So that's why this is hard for me to leave the country because of my family, and I couldn't, hard for me to see them suffering. So I decided to leave the country. And then after I leave the country, um, my husband and I um, moved to United States. And it's really hard for me to leave also the kids because when we go back to the Philippines after we work abroad, um, as Maria said, there's a lot of corruption, and you know the poverty in the Philippines is still there. So I tell my husband I couldn't see my kids, that it's hard to give the good life if we're not working hard. But how we can do that in the Philippines? Um, if
Thank you,
you're not, yeah, if you're
Abby.
not,
Go
yeah,
ahead. Finish.
if, yeah, if you're not, if you're not, if you're not college graduate in the Philippines, or even you're graduate in college, it's gonna be hard also to live in the Philippines. That's why we decided and moved work in abroad.
Thank you, Abby. And I know you told me you kept saying to yourself, how can I protect my my family? Because as a child watching your mother have cancer, I think you felt powerless. And
Yes,
maybe this was a way to take back some power.
right.
Thank you. I want to switch over to Isa because Isa's story also, like Abby, she left the Philippines pretty early and she spent 13 years working in a factory in South Korea with her husband. It was a pants making factory. And after that, they had a daughter while they were there, and they decided to come back to the Philippines when their daughter was 5 years old and to tend to her schooling. And Isa was able to start a rice mill with some savings that she had. And when the rice mill was doing well, she sponsored not only her daughter, but three other neighbor children to go to a private school that would be really good for them. So fast forward, something changed. The rice mill was not doing well anymore. You can tell us why, but you decided, what was the reason you decided to leave at that point and try making money in the United States?
Okay. Uh, Hi, I'm Isa Imnasi. Good evening to everybody. I came from Bukidnon, Malaybalay, Philippines, and I have a daughter, only one daughter, and what is this? And I have a business in the Philippines, and because of my business is doing well, so I sponsored, like what Sir Elliot mentioned. I sponsored correct, four kids, and not only four kids, and plus my daughter, they're all five. So because these kids are talented, they are the kids from the farmers like that, and they cannot afford their children to go to school. to college, so I sponsored them because I have only one daughter. So my business is doing well, but then my husband is what we call this a gambler, womanizer, everything. So my business is as go long days or years. I I can see that I'm going to my business is going to bankrupt. So that's why I decided to go out in the Philippines and come here in the US because I cannot, if my business is bankrupt, how these children, I don't like them to be was this frustrated from for their ambitions, especially my daughter. I want to give her a good future, so I decided to go here in the US. Even it's very hard for a mom like me. You just go. What's this? You leave your daughter for a very young age. That's why a mom always what we are thinking when going abroad is the future of our children. So that's why I come here. I come here just for the future of 5 kids. That's it.
Thank you, Isa. You're keeping, you were able to keep all 5 kids in school
Yeah.
all these years, sending back money. And you told me something big happened last July. What was it?
Last July.
Yeah, for your daughter in July. I'm
Ah, yeah,
sorry.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, because he sent a message to me, and I just I was this I it is a very big question for me because I can see just ma, just like that, ma. She don't write anything. So as a mom, what does it mean, ma? And then I call her, why you don't talk? Why you don't say a message out? Always ma. What's that? What does it mean? And then she told me, because I just miss you like that. So I was,
Yes.
it's very hard for me because I understand my daughter. She's alone like that in the house. So that's, oh my God. So
It's
I let her
okay,
aunt,
Isa.
yeah,
No,
I
it's
let,
okay.
I let her aunts to go to her and look to my daughter because I'm not there. So I told her that next time, don't just text me, ma, because it's very hard for me because I have work. And so I ran to the garage and I called her because, of course, you're a mom and you don't know what's happening. That's why.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Isa.
Yeah.
I am going to talk to Anne, but I want to ask a different question. And what I want to ask is difficult. It's probably the hardest question of the night because I want to ask about leaving your kids and what it's been like for you to be so far away. And Anne, it's been about 4 or 5 years. You have 4 sons
Yes.
in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And I wondered if you remember telling them when you first decided to
Oh.
leave and how it's been for you in these years trying to stay connected with them.
Well, the hardest part is leaving your kids in the Philippines, and I remember that the only person that I told upfront is my eldest, my 23 and my 21. My 23, he can't come with me in the airport to that night because he has an early school. So only my 21 years old, who is my second, come to me, yeah, to bring me into the airport and say a proper goodbyes. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. But my two younger son, which is then very young, I only told them that I'm going to work, but I will come back. but since then, for 4 years, and I didn't come back. So um, there was an instance when my third, because he's the closest to me. My third son is always saying that how many birthdays that came past, and you always say that you're gonna come home, but you never come home. That's the most painful part of being a mom away from your child. Like what the other speaker said. Um, we as a mom, we do our best. We sacrifice a lot. The loneliness when you miss them a lot, just to give them a better future.
Thank you, Anne. That is hard. And I just want to say it's not bad if you end up crying a little. We will wait.
Uh-huh.
It's part of you sharing such a personal thing with us. And it's
Thank
not
you.
easy at all. So do what you need to do. I'm going to
Thank
go
you.
back to Isa because I want to talk a little bit about your 9-year-old. And this will be a little hard. I know you shared some good news with me that she graduated college this summer and she's now got a degree in mechanical engineering, if I'm right, right? But I want to go back to when you first told her that you were leaving, and I'm sorry to put you through this, but can you remember what it was like telling her what she said to you? Oh, you need to unmute. You have to unmute yourself.
All right.
Thank you.
Um, I told her that I have to go abroad because I need to work. And then she told me that she cried and what's this? She don't like me to go. And then that's why I told her that this is for you and for your future like that. Because when I stay here, we was this nothing. You cannot go to school. And how about the children that mama was this sponsored? So I don't want you to lose or frustrated in your ambition. So she cries, she cries. So how what is this? It's very hard for me because from my place going to Manila, I don't stop crying. And then she called me when I was in Manila. And then she told me, please, like that, mom, don't go. Then I told her that please, I don't cry and don't tell me like that because it's too hard for me as a mother like that. Because of course I really love my daughter like that. As a mother, it's too hard because she's still young and it's a girl because we don't know. Sometimes there was this uh, crimes that happening in the Philippines, like that. So too much was this. Was this? I'm afraid that something happened like that to my daughter, and my husband is not always in the house. He leave always my daughter alone in the house like that. So it's too hard for me when she called me and tell me don't go, and she pleased me, but it's very hard like that.
I said, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Take a rest. Uh,
Okay.
I guarantee you everybody is sending you a lot of love right
Oh,
now.
thank you. Yeah.
I'm going to go to Abby. You have 3 sons or 3 kids in the Philippines. And I'm wondering when you told them, I know you've given them a certain message through the years that you're doing this for them, and how has that worked on their end? And also, what have you missed that you wish you could have been there for?
Um, yes. Being a mom, it's a lot of mom wants them to see their kids growing. But since I I left them, um, so I miss those things, and I miss some of the hugs, kisses to my kids. But it's been hard for me also to see them, not giving a good life. Just like me, when I was a child, I dream a lot. But since the family is sick, I couldn't, pursue my degree. And this is the only way that I can, help them. Not only my own family, with, my brothers and my sisters who is needs really help for their health. So that's hard for me. But thank God that there's an internet, there's a messenger that I can talk to them every day, morning and evening. And I explain to them that this is not forever. Um, Time will come that we will be together. And when it comes, when it's the right time that all you have a, you know, um, better education, graduated, that's only the time I think that I'm going back home, and, we will be together.
Thank you, Abby. And Abby's been here since 2014. Maria, I don't want to put you through a lot of pain. It's hard for everybody. And I know you had one child that was only 8 months old when you first left, and that was so difficult. Why don't you just tell us what you remember about the leaving? I think you didn't expect to be here so long at first without them. So go ahead and just tell us a little.
Mm. Yeah, when I left in the Philippines, I have only 8 months old because I decided to leave because of I have two kids who's in schooling, and I have a baby that needs to what to buy the diapers, milk, something so that he can live. So I decided to come over here. Just only I told to them that I'm only go to the US to work for 6 months and I will be back.
And I know you talk to them almost every day. When do you manage to talk to them? And what are the talks like?
I try my best to reach them every day so that I know that every day before they go to school, I'll see them that they're already okay. They already eat breakfast, they already settled, and they're okay. And also my little boy, that she's doing okay, even I'm not there.
And I know it's hardest maybe on certain kids, it's harder to have you gone than other of your kids. And I think, Anne, I think you told me that your 21-year-old is having the hardest time, right? That he's still finding himself. So
Yes.
how do you try to help him when you're on the phone or far away?
I cannot blame my 21 years old because he has a lot of question in his mind. Why I'm not there as a mom, and why am I away from them? Like I think he's still on the transition of having the adult life, and then he's seeing his friends, their mom is in their home, but him, when he needs me, he can, he cannot. He can talk to me, but I cannot touch him. The hugs, the kisses. That's what he's saying. And then I told him that I have to make this sacrifice because I want you to have a better future. I mean, um, your dad, can give you. I mean, he don't find means. You know, he don't find means to bring them to have a good education or whatsoever. So as a mom, I myself, my parent, as a single mom too, brought me into a good school. I want I want I want to give my son the same thing that my mom gave me. But the thing is that the sacrifice. I told him that we need to sacrifice, and I'm sacrificing myself because I love you. I
Thank you,
mean,
Anne.
yeah.
Thank you. Did you want to say something else?
No, that's
Okay,
all.
you're very brave to say all these things, all of you. I'm going to switch subjects because I've got you all upset. I want to talk about something that's also pretty difficult, but you're fighting back. And that is, as immigrants who don't have green cards, who don't have the authorization to stay in the country, you're especially vulnerable to unscrupulous employers and professionals like lawyers, immigration lawyers. So I wanted to find out some of what you've been up against. And I don't want to say that every employer or every lawyer is not scrupulous, not good, because there are many good ones, but they are vulnerable, and all four have had to deal with this variable, this reality. So I'm going to go back to you, Maria, and ask you to tell us about your experience with the immigration lawyer.
Yeah. When I work in the care home, the owner told me if that they will petition me. So they said you need to decide if you will stay or you will go back to the Philippines. Then I asked first my family if what will I do, and they said that it's your I I will decide it for me because I'm far from them. They said that we are all here. We are the three, and their dad is there, and I'm here. I'm alone. Even my grandma is also here. They said if you can do it, you will. You need to. If you want to sacrifice, not to see us for many years, you will stay. So when I talked to my boss, and then I decided to stay, they petitioned me and they brought me to the lawyer. And when the lawyer told us that they will, it's only for 3 years that I can change my status. So I talked to my family again in the Philippines and tell them that that's only do I need to go back or what? They said my husband told me that 3 years is too long, but we will wait. So I decided I went back to the lawyer and told them that I will my boss will petition me. So I did everything for the papers. They they told me that they will fix it. So I'm happy at the time that when they prepare everything and I receive approval of petition. So I'm so happy at the time, so that it means that it's real, that my status will be changed. But all of a sudden, I have a friend that told me that if I have a 245I, and I said, what is 245I? Because I don't know that 245I. And they said that, he said that that's a petition, it's a last 2001 is the last time they give like an amnesty. That's what they said. Then I called the attorney office, and they said, "Oh, they will change the law, so don't worry. It's only years. Your status will be okay. They will change, so don't worry." So I'm thinking and thinking, then and wait for until not they. I know that there's something wrong. There's something wrong. So my friends told me again that one of my friend, can you check the go to www.gov and check it, your lawyer, why there's something happened, just check it. And when I check it, and I said it's like it's inactive, so it means my lawyer is no more longer. And when I knew it, I cried. I'm so sad because I pay the amount. I pay the what you call this? I pay it for 2 years, and it's almost $8,000 for my petition. And it's so sad because it's nothing happened. It's like it's gone. It's like flu, nothing.
So
And
you lost $8,000 and your lawyer is no longer practicing law and you have no recourse.
yeah, so I'm so done at that time, and I'm so sad because I'm waiting for that how many years, and nothing happened. Just only telling us that just wait and the law will change. But I went to the other lawyer, and they said every lawyer knows that no more a petition from the employer since 2001.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Maria. I want to go to Isa now because her story really stands out. In fact, it shocked me. You had two bad jobs in a row. I'm just going to fill in the first one. You had a friend in the Philippines who had an aunt out here. The aunt out here had an acquaintance who had a small care facility with 5 beds and left you to deal with all 5 clients 24/7 with only some help from her nephew, who was a very scary guy. And so you lasted for 5 months. You went back to the aunt's house for a couple of weeks till you found another job, but the other job was at least as bad. It was almost the same. So what I want you to do is just describe what your new boss expected of you. What were the conditions that you were living in, and what was the work that you did during this period with this employer?
Um, okay. This is my second employer, right? The first employer, when we go fast forward, I leave my first work because of her nephew that there's a mental disorder. So I'm afraid of that. So I decided to resign. So I find my second job, which is also a 5 client, and my salary is $65 for a day with the 5 clients, and I work alone. The my work is, there's no what's this definite time when I'm gonna rest or what, non-stop. I start 5 o'clock in the morning, and I don't know what time we're gonna end up, 11, 12, or 1 o'clock, like that. So it's very hard because it's winter time. I sleep in the couch, only in the couch outside. And while my employer is, what's this? They have room like that. So I have to cover myself with a thick blanket so that I cannot feel the cold. So it's very hard. For 10 years, I'm sleeping outside in the couch.
When
It's
you say
cold.
outside, what do you mean outside?
I outside the what's this? In the couch, like that,
Like
not
in
inside
the
the room.
garage, right? Not or in the
Yeah,
yard, in the
yeah,
garage.
yeah. Either this is cold or what, I just cover myself with a blanket. So it's very hard because I'm only one who's working every day. And then I wake up 5 o'clock like that. I prepare the breakfast. But what is this? My boss is always telling me, "Oh, don't worry. I'm gonna find somebody to be with you like that." But nothing. And and she as was this? She's a liar like that. And then
Didn't you say something about sewing clothes for
oh
her
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah, I forgot. And then sometimes during my what's this? My day off, because they know that I know how to make a clothes or a sew something like that. So they let me to prepare their pants, to make a blouse for them like that. So and then I make a curtain, all curtain around the care home, inside the care home, the rooms of our client. So how could I have my what's this? My day off? Because she let me to do this, to do that, but she don't give me even single cents. Nothing.
no pay?
Yeah. And then if they will go somewhere like a party like that, or she will call me, I'm gonna dye her hair like that and do a manicure for her, everything. There's a free salon, a sober like that, everything. So I don't have day off sometimes. So I just stay in the garage like that. She's lucky because I know everything. I was this. I don't see anything. I don't complain because I stay there.
And if the inspectors came, where did she tell you
Yeah.
you
And then yeah, if the licensing and was this the ombudsman, she told me that if they will ask you where's your room, just tell them that, oh, that's my room, because there's a name in the door, that caregiver's room. So I have to tell them, oh, that's my room, even though they're the one who's sleeping inside in there and I'm sleeping in the couch in the garage.
but
So
Isa,
yeah,
you stayed there for 10 years.
yes,
10 years.
for
And
10 years,
tell it tell us why.
because I stayed there because I don't have any family, or I don't have any place to go. So I stay there. Even my salary, they increase it for $5 for 3 months, sometimes $10. Well, not 3 months, 3 years, not 3 months, 3 years, $5 increase in my salary, and up to $90. So I stay there because what I'm thinking is, if I lose my job, I go somewhere, how could I send money to my students like that? And then I don't have family. I don't have what's this, a friend that I can stay with them. That's why. And then my employer told me that you owe me a lot. So every time I told her that, come on, let's compute like that. And then and then let's compute like that. Oh, just write it down there. I'm tired like that. I'm busy. Next time. See how many years I just write it down, everything what I take from her without computing every month. So what is this? So I stayed there for a long time because she told me I owe money from her, and then and the reason why I don't have any place to go, I don't have
Yeah.
friends to stay. That's why. So I
Thank you.
stay there.
Thank you, Isa. And I know that the woman that you had stayed with, she had passed away and her house was no
Yeah,
longer available.
that's right. Yeah.
I'm I'm going to switch to another subject now. Let's go to the subject of COVID. You started to hear about the pandemic emerging and the COVID, and I'm sure that it really was frightening for the work you do. So, Anne, I'm going to ask you what was going through your mind in terms of deciding to keep working? Why did you decide that? You must have been frightened.
Well, when the when the COVID hits, I'm still not driving, and then my living situation is okay, but you need to commute from my place to my workplace. It's about an hour and or an hour and a half.
On the
So
bus?
on the bus, yes, on the bus. So one thing is at the back of my mind, I don't have a proper insurance. What if I got hit? How can I pay for the medical bills? And then the anxiety is high because we don't know where to turn to. I mean, what proper government of what proper government institution will gonna help us undocumented. Um, so at that time, all we did, all we have to do is pray. Now that please Lord protect us. We cannot stop working because there's my family, my son who's relying on me, and the pandemic in the Philippines is badder than the US. I mean, most of the people in the Philippines is not working, and me myself here, fortunate that I still have my job, though it's scary. We don't
What,
know.
what
Okay,
kind of precautions were you able to take?
ooh, overdosing of vitamin C.
Vitamin C?
Yeah,
Uh,
overdosing of vitamin C. I'm taking 2000 unit of vitamin C every day. I mean, mask and everything, like but the precaution in commuting is you cannot do it. You don't know if the person is going to the bus has COVID at the time. You really don't know. And
okay.
it's so scary.
And I remember you told me that you became quite a big user of Lysol.
Yes, yes, true. That's true. I mean, I was so paranoid and everything. I always had a bottle of Lysol, wipes, and name it, I have it.
I'm going to switch over to Abby again because you had a very, very challenging experience right during the pandemic. And you also had a bad job temporarily from 2018 that was ripping you off. And
Yeah.
so take us to the point where you confronted your boss and then what happened?
Um, when I confronted my boss, she's really, she gets mad and she said that if you can, if she told me that if you can't stay, if you cannot stay here working for my facility, I mean, the doors are open and it's up to you. So I was thinking that how she said that. I mean, we are not paid on the nighttime and we work in the daytime, and then it means we work 24 hours a day, but she just paid us only 8 hours. So I was still um um I still decided to stay in my work because um that time she petitioned me, she sponsored me. And so I was, you know, accepting all the pain that, she said. So I was really quiet, and it keeps in my heart that I feel I want to fight, but how? then after the pandemic, when the pandemic comes, 2019, my sister got sick, and um, you know, I really want to go in my, I really want to quit my job, but how? Since my sister got sick with a colon cancer, and I need to send money. And that time, pandemic comes, so some of my family member supporting my sister, but how they can support since pandemic, they don't have work, they are locked down, no money. So some of my salary, or I have a little savings, I need to send it because I need to help. I need to help them since I was struggling that time with my job, and you know um, worrying to my family in the Philippines. And then, so after April that my sister got a doctor and surgery for her colon cancer. But after that, the surgery is not successful, so she passed away. So I really, really so sad that how can I go and see my sister? Um, that time I want to see her because since my mom passed away, she's the one who stand to our family as a mom. So I really sad about that because how can I see my sister anymore? And that time I it's really hard for me to quit my job. But since I am so sick with my employer, my everything, it's it's really sad and it's really bad for my health to thinking so much stressful. So I decided after the November 1st, I decided to quit my job because I want to, save my energy for my kids. So I quit the job, and still pandemic, I asked my my friend that if I can stay in the house, but since she refused it because she said that it's COVID time and she she cannot help me. So I know nowhere else. I mean, I don't have place to go. So I talked to my husband. I couldn't, go back to my employer because I quit. I mean, I resigned. So I don't have a money. We don't have money because all my salary sent into the Philippines. So we stay in the car for almost 2 months, and I realized that I I don't know if it's the right time to to this is not the right time for quitting the job, but I faced the reality that I'm in a car. I need to be brave and finish all these things and survive. So,
And you did.
and I did, yeah, and I
You
did.
you learned how strong you actually are, which is pretty much a superhero. 2 months in the car and gas station bathrooms.
Yes,
Friends would leave food on their doorstep for you and your
right,
husband,
right.
but you did manage to get a better job by January.
Yes, January.
Oh. Well, thank you for sharing that story. Um, I'm going to because we're kind of running toward the end of the time. I want to kind of move forward and There was a story that well, actually, no. I want to go back to Maria because you had quite a few precautions that you took as well. How did you try to stay safe from COVID when you were trying really hard?
Yeah, I do a lot of things that um, every time I go to, because I'm at the time I'm taking a bus or taking a Uber. So every time I going to the taking a Uber, before I get in, I spray Lysol on the chairs or all over the car, because you know that you don't know who sit there, you don't know who is, if there's a virus there or what, because the pandemic made me scared of public commute and going to places that I used to love going to. My routine became like a merely home, work, part-time, and back. I consult my thinking that it's better to be safe than sorry. So I do everything. I wash my hands every time because I'm scared of that virus. And to tell you that even so even I'm do everything to make me safe, I got COVID December 2020, the last year. I got COVID, and at that time I'm so I the fear of spreading the virus to my family, to my co-workers and clients. I'm so sad. I'm so afraid. So I isolated myself for 2 weeks. It made me clear to my life that like others who might get sick because of me. And I thought that when I got my COVID, I thought that I will never see my kids again, because that you will hear on the news that everybody is mostly get severe, die because of COVID.
No, I'm just
And
supporting Robin.
and then when I
Have fun.
checked that I have a virus, I cried. I cried a lot because I'm scared that there will be something happen to me that I don't know if what will happen to my kids if my mind is like I cannot think right. And you know that two of my uncles here in California also died in COVID. And I thought it may not be able to see my family here in America.
Because
And also,
they were in the hospital and you were not allowed to even visit them, even though you're in California too.
yeah, because at that time I'm also quarantined. I couldn't visit them. I cannot visit supposed to be I'm the one who will take care of my uncle, because only a month that her wife was passed away of the colon cancer. And after this pandemic, it's so very, very sad for me. And I cannot explain what I feel. I'm so done at that time that you will think that you want to kill yourself or something because of that happened to me, that I got COVID. Even you did all the precautions because you don't want to get sick because of my status. But luckily, my condition was not severe, and I just only quarantined for 2 weeks. But even though I quarantined for 2 weeks, I'm still scared to pass to the others, to my coworkers, or to my family. I still quarantine again for 2 weeks because I'm so afraid.
Thank you, Maria. And I know that these are incredibly dark hours for you that fortunately you had a friend that gave you a room. But
Yeah,
what in the
the
middle
power.
of, yeah, I'm going to switch over to Anne because she told me a story that left me happier. Because as dark as things can get, especially in lives that where you have taken such huge risks to be able to provide for your families, sometimes it gets so dark. And Anne told me a story about a night when she had felt like giving up and she's in the middle of a messy divorce and didn't have a place to stay. So tell us briefly why it turned into a good experience for you.
Yeah, I was in the middle of not I don't know if we're not yet divorcing that time. It's when they kicked me out of the house after I took care of my ex-husband from the hospital for almost 2 months because he had a stroke. And then when he's going out of the hospital, they just left me in the hospital. They didn't even ask me how will I go back to San Jose because it is in Vallejo. So the last money that I have, I took an Uber and then I end up in a church. I was praying so hard. I don't know what to do. I was so afraid, and then I slept there overnight. The nun allowed me. So come the morning, unexpected, a friend of mine, a long time friend of mine when we were in high school, suddenly texted me, and then he asked me how I am, how what's my situation or how are you like that. So I said he gave me a guardian angel when I don't have any place to stay. I don't have friends in here. I mean, suddenly, I mean, a little miracle happened. He had just suddenly, out of nowhere, asked me how I am. So I told him my situation, and he and his family took me and let me stay to their place.
It's so great. I mean, it's almost like a miracle dropped in your lap.
Yes, yes.
And my hope is that each one of you has a story like that, that at some point
Well,
in the darkest moment, some light found its way in.
yeah.
Uh,
The
Go ahead.
only like before Pawis, we don't have our worry group. Most of us we don't have family here. Most of us we doesn't have any friends. Most of us are really the our we are afraid. We only hold on to prayers, and then we have our group. We are now like a family. So we can we can rely to each other. We are brothers and sisters in our group now. But before, the anxiety, the depression, the self-esteem is very low because we are abused because of our status. I mean, we don't know where to turn to. We don't know if the government will help us. Those are the questions at the back of our mind.
Thank you for framing that so well. I will end with just a shout out to the organization that you all found in various ways and that brought you here tonight. And it's the Filipino Association for Immigrants and Workers,
Mhm.
Workers and Immigrants. And I know that for Isa, for you, they helped you escape that horrible situation, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Oh, you have to unmute, Isa. Sorry.
All right, this is a story. Um, 14 years I working there in the care home. I don't know that there. I have was this a neighbor, Filipina. All right, okay. She go in our care home and she cook because my boss requests her to cook, and she is a member of that organization which is PAWIS. We call PAWIS, okay. And then I told her about my situation, and then she told me, "Oh, she's abusing you. Your boss is was this not good, and then she's abusing you like that." And she told me, "I'm gonna introduce you into our group like that." So I was this. I knew them, which is I can say that they helped me a lot. So what's this? I talk. What's this? They helped me like that. I was this with my bags, everything, and this was this this organization is what I can say that a family that's which I can lend on. They give me the was this the strength and to be strong. That's why they helped me everything and through my was this and my place to live like that, and then we treat every each other as a family and a brother like that. So I'm happy, and I knew this group who helped me from going. I was this run away from this job because they insist that you can fight with them because they are abused like that. They are not good for you, and that's all. Let's
So
try again.
you had an escape, right?
Yeah, I escaped 5 o'clock in the morning with my bags, and then somebody picked me up.
Very
One
good.
of the yeah, and
So
then
the boss must have had a rude awakening that morning when you were missing and she
yeah,
had to
yeah,
do the work.
yeah, yeah. I know. That's why I
I
wake up at around 5 o'clock because she will wake up around 6 o'clock. I must be out in that house at 5 o'clock in the morning. That is why I'm in a hurry. Even my bags are so heavy. That's
well, I want to use that as an example because it's 8:30. I want to move to the final portion in a moment, but I want to give a shout out to Powis for all that they've done in each of your lives to give you a sense that you're not totally alone and that others are there to fight the fight with you. And I want to thank you for sharing deeply personal things that have gone, experiences you've gone through, painful ones, and for putting your story out there. I know for maybe most of you, it's the first time you're putting your story out in such a public way. But I think for those who end up, those here tonight and those who watch the video when the organizations keep promoting it online, they're going to know that you four brave Filipina caretaker women are a very bright spot in the community that we share. And we send you a lot of love.
Thank
And so I want to introduce, this would be the point where everybody claps, but we're stuck on a Zoom, so we can't hear it, but just imagine it. And meanwhile, I want to introduce Sabrina Para Garcia. She's the executive analyst in the Office of Racial Equity for the city of San Jose. And they've been the ones who started this whole project off and have given me my guidance and support. She's been with the office since 2018 when it used to be the Office of Immigrant Affairs. And she helped organized the first Storyteller Showcase back in 2018 that I got to be a part of. She'll be making an invitation now for everyone who has the time to stay, to be a little courageous and practice some very easy ways to help us all connect with strangers across our differences. So Sabrina, go ahead and take it from here. Thank you to the caretakers.
Thank you, Elliot. And ladies, I've left you all up here just because I really wanted to say thank you. And I'm trying not to cry because you all made me cry earlier. But not that you made me cry, but your stories were really powerful. And I can't thank you enough for sharing them with us. Okay. Pulling myself together. So if folks did want to come off mute and clap or share your reactions for our wonderful storytellers, for Anne and Isa and Maria and Abby, by all means, please do now, because ladies, that was fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And there, I will put my little clap emoji up too.